Hi, I'm Jessie Tran, CEO and co-founder of Native. I've been learning English for over 20 years, but when I moved to the US, I always found myself freezing in conversations. It crushed my confidence, and I missed out on opportunities that I was otherwise qualified for. And I'm not alone. There are over 1 billion people who speak English as a second language, yet over 70% feel anxious when speaking, leading to lower income, limited career growth, and unemployment. That's why we built Native, the AI language coach for confident speaking. We are starting with the International English Language Testing System, also known as IELTS. It's the most popular English test that is required for university admissions and immigration in English-speaking countries, and now increasingly used for graduation and employment in Asia. The tests cover reading, writing, listening, and speaking. But speaking is the biggest challenge for both students and teachers. It's the hardest to teach in a classroom environment, the slowest to improve, and consistently the lowest scoring section, especially across Asia. Native solves this problem for both sides with a simple approach. Speak, get feedback, practice, and repeat. First, students record their speeches on the platform. Second, our AI analyzes and gives real-time feedback on fluency, pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. What makes us different is our ability to turn these feedback into personalized practice. For example, the student has a problem with using plurals. From that, we generate personalized practice like this, so they know exactly how to improve their speaking. After launching Native, we saw students improve much faster. What usually takes 2 months in a traditional classroom, they achieve within just 3 weeks by using our methodology for 30 minutes a day. For teachers, we automate the most time-consuming part of their jobs, grading and giving feedback, saving them up to 15 hours a week. We launched first in Vietnam, the Asia's fastest-growing IELTS market, where English is now mandated as a second language. Only 6 weeks after our beta launch in April, we have onboarded over 300 users, with 70% active weekly. These users came from our 12 pilot partners, and we already have 30 more on our waitlist, with 90% of whom came through referrals. We will begin to roll out our monetization in July. Our revenue model is B2B. We charge educators a monthly fee per student, and we plan to expand it to B2C next. Our growth strategy leverages the network effect among 50,000 IELTS educators globally. With just 2% of the market penetration, we are on track to reach $1 million annual recurring revenue in 2026, and IELTS is just the beginning. By focusing on speaking, we are unlock a potential $300 billion market opportunity across language learning, workforce development, and global mobility. I met Rex after winning a hackathon last year, and I had 6 years of experience in multi-language talent development in institutions and Fortune 500 companies, while Rex brought in his expertise in AI and machine learning to find a new way to tackle this problem. Together, we are a team of language lovers, educators, and builders who get things done. I went from freezing in silence to speaking with confidence. It changed my life. And now I'm building the tool that I wish I had. If you believe that people like me deserve to speak with confidence and achieve the success that we are capable of, join me, so together we will transform millions of lives through the power of confident communication. Thank you.
I'm Brian Kordich, founder and CEO of Easy Shake, the cure for protein shakes. Like a lot of health-conscious people, I wanted to get more protein in my diet, but protein shakes are a hassle. It takes too long to make one, and I'd end up with powder on the countertop, clumps floating around, and dirty mixing containers I never wanted to scrub clean. Ready-to-drink shakes are easier, but they're expensive to ship, high in sugar, and made of a lower quality protein that's harder for your body to absorb. 85% of Americans say they want to increase their protein intake this year, but 60% say convenience drives their food choices. We built Easy Shake to help them bridge that gap so we can capture the booming protein market, which will reach $50 billion annually by 2030. Because you can't just toss protein powder into a coffee machine. It clumps and clogs instantly. Plus, most people don't want a hot protein shake. Easy Shake is different. No spills, no clumps, and no cleanup. Just high quality protein made efficient. For decades, large companies have spent millions trying to make it work, but nobody could figure out how to mix a full serving of protein inside such a small container. I'm a mechanical engineer who's invented medical devices, led FDA clearances, and who hates to do dishes. I was a VP at a growing startup and left to solve this frustrating everyday problem. I invented the world's first pod-based system that mixes protein powder using water pressure, something no other mixing system can do. Our technique was designed from the ground up to work inside a small plastic pod, and our proprietary solution has coverage through 2041. Just insert the pod, press the mix button, and in 7 seconds, your shake is perfectly made. The water does the mixing, and the pod washes itself out clean. When it's all done, just recycle it and go, so you can move on with your busy day. And we're not stopping at protein. Our second patent expands our IP to include all powder beverages. We're adopting Keurig's business model, system sales plus recurring revenue from pod subscriptions. And we've already started partnering with leading protein powders to offer co-branded pod packs. Our scaling strategy is to continue adding revenue streams through new pod varieties and other trusted brands. Selling 10,000 systems using only 8 pods per month will generate $2 million in revenue next year. Building that install base to just 500,000 systems produces $100 million in revenue by 2030. That's realistic to do because protein shakes aren't just for fitness junkies. They're also for new moms, busy professionals, aging adults, and parents trying to sneak in something nutritious between school drop-offs and their next Zoom call. Anyone trying to live a healthy life more conveniently. Easy Shake makes good nutrition more accessible in a convenience-focused world. So now, protein is as effortless as coffee. Come check us out and see what's shaking. Thank you.
AI is transforming video creation. Independent creators are now on a path to do what once took a whole production house. But even with so many tools out there, the hardest part remains. It's the beginning. That moment when you're staring at a blank page. Pre-production, whether for films, ads, or YouTube, is still a team sport, involving writers, directors, and designers all before a single frame is shot. While AI tries to be a team for solo creators, it still slows you down and lacks real feedback, making you feel like you need a full team anyway. Hi, I'm Charan Kilari, founder and CEO of VideoDraft. After 7 years at Apple, building creative tools like Final Cut Pro and iMovie, I saw a real gap. Modern creators don't need more AI features tagged onto old school editors. They need a whole new workflow designed from ground up for AI native storytelling. That is why I'm building VideoDraft. VideoDraft is your personal pre-production AI agent that thinks and works like a full creative team. You're not just generating content, you're collaborating with smart AI agents. Here is how messy the AI creator's workflow is today. You ideate and write your scripts with LLM. You generate visuals for storyboards. You put them all on a deck. You generate voiceovers and music. And you stitch it all in video editors just to show someone what your video might look like. Then the feedback rolls in from clients over Slack and emails. And suddenly, you're back at square one, reprompting and storyboarding again. It's not a workflow. It's a full-time juggling act and it kills creativity. If this is hard for AI native pros, imagine the pain for traditional creators still working with teams. Enter VideoDraft. Here is how your workflow looks now. You start off with your idea, whether it's a full script or just a rough concept. Our AI screenwriter transforms it into a structured screenplay, complete with scenes, characters, and visual assets. You can then use the project's full context to collaborate with the AI agent to refine your script until it is pitch ready. Next, our AI director brings your story to life. It storyboards each scene with visual references, mood boards, short lists, dialogues, and pacing. Finally, it's time for production. Our AI editor generates visuals, adds voiceovers and captions, and stitches it all into your first video draft. And it's not just AI generated content. Video draft can work with your personal media and brand content. And as you iterate, our AI agents stay by your side. Real time, 24/7. No tool hopping and no prompt fatigue. Whether you're pitching a brand, storyboarding a short film, or just vibe filming, Video Draft helps you move faster, collaborate smoother, and create at scale. We launched a private beta 2 weeks ago in May 2025. In that time, we've onboarded 15 design partners and 50 plus users who already storyboarded over 300 projects. What used to take days, scripting, visualizing, and compiling now happens in minutes. Our vision? To build a creative canvas for AI native storytelling, just like Figma did for design. If you're a creator, investor, or team who feel this pre-production pain, we'd love to talk. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Preface Health. I was a pre-medical student for 4 years at USC, meaning I spent my weekends volunteering in the hospital and my free time in the lab doing medical research. I even took the MCAT, and I was genuinely excited to go to medical school to become a doctor. But this really quickly changed after I became a patient myself. I remember visiting in urgent care, I had nausea after eating questionable Thanksgiving leftovers. I was handed a thick stack of intake forms asking tedious questions, a lot of which were completely unrelated to my nausea. An hour later, a medical assistant called me back but asked me the same set of questions I had just written down. And after being handed off to the doctor still asked me the same questions. No one seemed to inherit a single shred of clinical context from the step before. At the end, I was handed a pack of Pepto-Bismol and told, "I hope you get better soon," neither of which truly required a visit to an urgent care. I actually ended up in the ER a few days later, but by then my symptoms got so severe that it was obvious that I had to be put on a course of antibiotics. Urgent care today is the primary front door to same-day medical care, but you still have experiences like mine that end up mistreated. But it's not the fault of doctors. They're burdened with high patient volume, tedious administrative intake, and lack clinical context of patients that they only have a few minutes to see. When this is compounded over 200 million patient visits across 14,000 urgent care locations every single year, urgent cares are losing over $7 billion from clinical inefficiency costs. Insurance payers are losing an additional $25 billion every year from misdiagnosed findings at just urgent care alone. At Preface Health, we're building the new front door to healthcare, starting with urgent care. We begin patient encounters early by using AI to pre-screen patients with dynamic questions. Between each question, a clinically informed AI takes in previous responses to ask the next best question. We ask a few more questions for deeper insight and use those answers to provide doctors with a predictive note that they can use before meeting the patient. 80% of their history collection is already done, and our AI clinical support co-pilots the remainder of the encounter. So instead of gathering repetitive patient history, doctors can now focus on providing truly personal care. In the back end, our Preface agent predictively automates medical record inputs for the doctor. This includes documentation, medical coding, and predictive test set orders. My co-founder and I found our first customers driving directly to urgent cares, and since our public launch 4 months ago, we now have 15 locations committed and live, 3 of which are paid pilots with a planned expansion into a total of 36 urgent care locations. We have a paid pilot with American Family Care, the largest urgent care operator in the United States with over 400 locations. And as of last week, we are now the only clinical tool on the market with Experity automation, an EMR used by nearly 50% of all urgent cares across the United States. We have integrations into several more popular EMRs, as well as our own EHR-agnostic AI agent that allows us to integrate with EMRs in a matter of days instead of months. We're talking to urgent care doctors every single day and iterating quickly with the advice from urgent care doctors who have ownership and executive experience. Urgent care is often the patient's first step to treating their healthcare needs, and we're here to provide doctors with a preface to make that experience better. I encourage you to come talk to us if you'd like to join us in improving that experience. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlie Geraci, co-founder and CEO of Prismia. I grew up in a family of commercial real estate brokers, but I followed a different path. I became a user experience designer, and when I worked at Notion, I helped create productivity tools that teams wanted to use. One day, my dad asked if I could create a similar system for his brokerage team. Here's the problem. Brokers need a single source of truth, and in the past, they had a secretary who ensured accuracy for every type document the team needed. As software replaced the secretary, it exponentially increased efficiency. But each tool became its own fractured source of truth. Contracts in Word, updates via email, and data in Excel. The brokerage team now spends an average of 37 hours per week sitting at their desk, copying and pasting data between email, spreadsheets, and Word docs, instead of touring properties with potential tenants and closing deals. And if the data they enter manually has an error, it can destroy the deal. Last year, an incorrect zip code on a client's market listing somehow slipped past proofreading and cost them the transaction on a $40 million deal. Brokerage teams lose an average of $700,000 per year in potential commission just from human error. But it doesn't just lose them a deal. It's a strike against their credibility. And in a market where reputation is everything, that's career suicide. That's why we built Prismia. Prismia allows your team to work exactly as they always have, but Prismia acts as that single source of truth, just like the secretary did before. Prismia centralizes real estate brokers' existing data, trains AI agents that automate repetitive documentation, and eliminates human error, freeing brokers to focus on what matters most, client relationships. You no longer need to update multiple lease terms across documents or pull comparables from 6 different spreadsheets. Prismia handles it for you without making the typos that destroy $40 million deals. Prismia's AI doesn't generate data. It just makes sure your data ends up in the right place. If it encounters an outlier, it flags the issue it needs user confirmation for and updates its training based on the feedback, continuing to improve the more brokers use it. Since starting Techstars, we've established partnerships with 3 brokerage teams who are testing Prismia on live deals today. They're turning around contract revisions 4 times faster, and more importantly, 0 errors. This gives them time to take on more clients, which means more revenue. We're laser focused on commercial real estate, but there are dozens of industries where high-stakes paperwork is still being managed manually, and time-strapped professionals can't afford mistakes. At Prismia, we move fast. We've designed and shipped enterprise systems, and we're obsessed with making powerful tools feel effortless. We're looking to connect with customers and industry partners. Prismia, from data to deal.
Hi, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Beale, CEO of Alsteni Medical. For 20 years as faculty at USC, I watched my patients struggle with obesity. Sarah is a 5th grade teacher. After 2 years on GLP weight loss drugs, she finally quit due to constant nausea. She spent $12,000 and her weight now is higher than when she started. She is not alone. There are 100 million US adults with obesity, which costs us $173 billion each year. Lifestyle changes usually fail to control weight, leaving 2 difficult treatment options: invasive and irreversible weight loss surgery or lifelong drugs. However, 70% of patients like Sarah are quitting these drugs within 2 years. There has to be a better way. Alsteni's transformative solution is an elegantly simple medical device. It harnesses the body's power to produce multiple appetite-suppressing hormones on demand in response to precisely delivered nutrients. Our device is a slender tube that is anchored completely hidden inside the mouth. It is placed by a nurse in 15 minutes in the patient's home. When a patient wants to control her appetite, she connects a pouch of nutrients to the tube. She squeezes the pouch a few times, and nutrients are delivered directly to the intestine, triggering a surge of appetite-suppressing hormones, including natural GLP-1. Over several weeks, she achieves surgical-level weight loss and can then simply pull out the tube. In our pioneering USC clinical trial using our prototype device, patients lost up to 15 pounds in just 2 weeks, and diabetes control improved. The device was well tolerated and was safe in nearly a year of use. FDA clearance is expected in 2026. We have comprehensive global intellectual property filed, and helping just 20,000 US adults with obesity will generate $100 million annual revenue. We have a mission-driven core team, and we are supported by world-class consultants. Together, we have comprehensive clinical, device, and business expertise. We invite you to join us in providing Sarah and millions of others with our breakthrough technology. Weight loss via the body's own GLP-1 without drugs or surgery. Thank you.
Hi, I'm James Kinda, and I'm a recovering CPA. And I'm also the CEO of Praxi, a software company on a mission to simplify technical accounting. Now let me share with you how I got to this point. I used to work for a software company in San Francisco, and almost every Friday evening, right before quarter close, I would be heading home only to get the news we had closed multiple huge deals. This meant I would have to go back and spend my entire weekend buried in complex contracts with little time to review them properly. And we were already spending hundreds of millions on accounting software that handled invoices and standard contracts with ease. But the moment a customer changed the terms, used their own contract, or it was a non-standard deal such as a partnership or acquisition, it would land on my desk, the technical accountant. And these contracts were a nightmare to account for. It was all about context and interpretation, and using only Microsoft Word and Adobe Acrobat, I had to review them line by line, making the final calls sometimes at 3 a.m. Exhausted, knowing that one mistake could cost the company billions. As a technical accountant, if I make a mistake, I could be fired. The CFO, who signs off on my decisions, holds fiduciary responsibility. That means not only could they be fired, they could be held personally liable for the calls I'm making at 3 a.m. For the company, one wrong decision can cause thousands of hours of increased audit work. We've seen even billions of dollars in regulatory fines, and a substantial drop in the stock price from shaken investor confidence. In this day and age, it is ridiculous that the highest paid accountants who handle the highest risk work have no specialized software. So we built Praxi, a software platform designed by technical accountants for technical accountants. Praxi uses AI to automate the tedious process of contract analysis, drastically reducing time spent on manual review. By integrating accounting standards and regulatory guidelines, we make judgment calls faster, more accurate, and completely auditable. So how does it work? First, you upload a contract, and our AI will scan the whole document, translating legal language into accounting, summarizing the important information, as well as highlighting. Next, AI will analyze this information under relevant accounting rules and interpretations, guided by a pre-built decision tree. Finally, all this can be reviewed, overridden, and exported into the required accounting report. Before Praxi, processing a single contract could take me 30 hours. With Praxi, it's reduced to just 1 hour, freeing up accountants to focus on high-level strategic work rather than tedious manual tasks. We are patent pending for our category-creating software, and we've signed a deal with a subsidiary of a global public company and our user base is growing. Our team includes experts in technical accounting, AI, software engineering, design, and enterprise sales, all with a shared vision of creating the industry standard software for technical accounting. The technical accounting software market is a greenfield opportunity worth over $31 billion and growing. Here's why. VCs are now requiring audits at earlier stages, increasing the demand for technical accountants. There's a significant shortage of qualified accountants, and accounting rules are becoming more complex and more judgmental. So, if there's a technical accountant in your life who is suffering, call Praxi. We can help. Thank you.
I'm Laura Bay, CEO of Silverspur Therapeutics. I started this journey in the ICU of one of the best hospitals in South Korea, where my father was being treated for cancer with the best doctors and the best treatment. But the treatment still failed. That moment shattered me, and I started asking why. What I found was staggering. Only 0.07% of traditional chemotherapy gets delivered to tumor. Over 99% of this aggressive treatment ends up harming healthy cells. And watching the loved ones suffer from adverse effect rather than the disease itself is not just cancer issue. We have powerful, effective drugs, but without targeted delivery, they do not work. And that's how Silverspur Therapeutic was born. We invented a smart shuttle called Peptide Amphiphil Micelle Platform, or PEM. It's a nanoscale delivery vehicle engineered to cross biological barriers that block most drugs. It's guided by targeting peptides and carries powerful therapeutics directly to the disease site. So we can achieve minimal off-target toxicity and higher efficacy, which means drugs get to where they're needed to go in the body and work. 86% of drugs that show promise in the lab fail to reach FDA approval because we cannot deliver them precisely. We chose to start with autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease, or ADPKD, to demonstrate that our platform can overcome this barrier. ADPKD affects 13 million people worldwide. Half of those patients will reach end-stage renal failure by age 60, requiring to be on dialysis or needing kidney transplant. And yet, we only have one FDA-approved treatment, and 95% of that drug get lost in the body, causing off-target toxicity, including liver damage. Patients on this treatment will still reach end-stage renal failure. Our solution is able to deliver treatment precisely to the kidney, resulting in 6 times higher efficacy and no side effects. As a result, patients on our treatment will not reach end-stage renal failure and avoid dialysis, improving quality of life and also saving total healthcare system costs of $90,000 per year per patient. This is a $1 billion market just for ADPKD. Targeted drug delivery market is expected to reach $31 billion by 2032. As of June 2025, our lead candidate is in preclinical development with in vitro and in vivo studies completed. Our orphan drug designation application has been submitted, and we began our IND-enabling studies and aim to start our first clinical trial in 2026. And we've already built strong traction. We received over $10 million non-dilutive funding and filed 5 patents and have over 80 peer-reviewed publications supporting the science. We also received 12 inbound partnership inquiries from top pharma and biotech companies. Most importantly, we have the right team to deliver. I bring in over a decade of business operations experience. Dr. Chang is globally recognized bioengineer, ranked in the top 2% in her field, and Dr. Huang is a scientific mind behind our platform. At Silverspur, we're not just building a biotech company. We're on a mission to unlock the full potential of medicine through targeted delivery. Thank you.
Gatorade, birth control, Google. All those came from university research. And every year, we could have thousands more market-defining innovations like that. But there's a problem. Out of the $100 billion poured into university research every year, less than 1% gets commercialized. And I can tell you why. I'm Arsh, CEO of Henna. And for years, me and my team have been working with scientists at universities and the NIH to help bring their research to market. And the main reason they fail to is there's a chasm. Scientists are great at getting grants to build something 10 times faster, stronger, safer. But to get that to market, they need VC funding, where VCs then ask, who's your customer? Who's willing to pay for something 10 times better? And this is where most scientists I've worked with get stuck. Because right now, here's how it works. Every year, over 10,000 scientists launch a startup, and they try two main things to find a customer. One, try for years to figure this out on their own, while at the same time hiring consultants who charge tens and thousands of dollars and take months just to interview a handful of people and deliver a report, with the result being $100 million spent on those consultants every year, and an overwhelming majority of those startups still failing. But now, there's a new option. Henna is the first customer discovery platform for scientists. Here's how it works. A scientist uploads a research paper, and our web app takes care of the rest. It reads the paper and pulls out value propositions, and then ranks potential customers based on factors like pain point or willingness to pay. It then takes the top prospect and conducts automated outreach and interviews and distills those insights from the transcripts into a live dashboard of product market fit, with the option to export into assets like a pitch deck. Everything a consultant does, and more, 10 times faster and at 10% the cost. And with the market ready to jump at the opportunity. We're just weeks after we launched that app, we closed 20 college partners and 10 scientists, 2 of whom became paying customers at a $1,000 monthly subscription. But that's still just the beginning. Here's the big picture. Until now, it took scientists at least months to find a customer. With our web app, it takes weeks. But next year, we'll be launching a tool that gets that down to hours. And here's how. The bottleneck in our app is data collection. But if we had that data up front, it'd be instant, because all we'd have to do is analyze it. And we've proven that we can get that data. We've already secured exclusive access to 25,000 customer interviews and add to it with every new call that we do. And with that data set we're building, we can do way more than just help scientists find customers. With that data, we can build AI tools that transform the entire commercialization journey, from universities evaluating what IP to patent, to startups trying to find customers, to hedge funds who need market research to place billion-dollar bets. And whereby supporting that entire journey, Henna can unlock the trillion-dollar future waiting inside our universities, the next Gatorade and birth control and Google and thousands more. A future that Henna will make happen by launching the customer discovery platform for scientists and using that to grow into the commercialization platform for science.